Hey guys, what's going on? mcoc here, and today we have a video on future Ant-Man, also known as Zane. This guy is one of my new favorite champs. He's an absolute beast. He's great, his utility is amazing, his damage is great, his animations are amazing. He's just so much fun to use. I haven't had this much fun since Spidey Supreme, and before him it was Overseer, and before that it was Night Thrasher. So this guy's up there with like my top 4 favorite champs, and this guy's probably going to be my next rank 5. So expect like a full boss showcase when he's at rank 5. If I have any say in who goes to rank 5 next, it's going to be him. So I'm super excited for when that happens, but for now we're just going to do a rank 4 showcase because that's going to be more common for most of you guys. Not a lot of people are going to be rushing to take him to rank 5, I suspect, with like Nimrod, Idun, Ghost. So this video is going to be a deep dive into his utility as well as his awakening. A lot of people like asking about his awaken ability or any champ's awaken ability, so I wanted to showcase the benefits as well as the negatives to it. But before we get too far into this video, let's have a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Bloodline Heroes of Lythus. It looks absolutely gorgeous, features some really cool combat and gameplay, and also has one of the most unique game mechanics I have ever seen. It's actually pretty wild. You can try the game yourself and download it for free using the QR code on the screen or clicking the link in the pinned comment or description of this video. And if you do that, you will receive a really sweet starter pack with a value of $20 to help you get into the game. This contains a summoning crystal, 100 diamonds, and 100,000 gold. In Bloodline, you can collect champions by summoning them, capturing prisoners, and yes, by breeding them. That was the unique game mechanic I was talking about earlier. I think it's pretty cool. On top of this, they introduce a new bloodline once every 14 days with amazing 3D designs and unique abilities for each gender. You can strategically marry and breed different champions to create powerful hybrids to use in battle and to help you progress through the game. With the ability to breed any 2 bloodlines, there are over 1,000 different hybrids you can create, and each hybrid inherits the talents and traits of each parent, as well as their unique appearances which can be passed down from each family tree and fused into one. This unique mechanic makes your strategies and lineups of champions feel like there's no end in sight for all the potential possibilities there are. Not only is the gameplay unique and fast-paced, the 3D graphics are stunning and the game is beautiful. You can deploy your team of unique hybrids into this vast and realistic fantasy world. For those players who love to push the late game content and want to be super sweaty in PvP modes, they have rewarding PvP through seasonal guild wars, and you could obtain even cooler and more uniquely designed hybrid champions this way. The champion on the screen is one of these champions you could earn through the PvP content. You can also build your own kingdom and take part in economic and strategic gameplay, and you can witness beautiful scenes and take in interesting storylines while playing this game. Once again, thank you to Bloodline for sponsoring this video. You guys can scan the QR code or click the link in the pinned comment or description to download this game. Downloading the game this way will get you a special starter pack worth $20, which includes a summoning crystal, 100,000 gold, and 100 diamonds. In addition to this, the first 30 players who reply to the pinned comment below with their account ID and username will receive a free legendary female orc champion, Ugrul, one of the best warriors to carry you through the game. Thank you Bloodline for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the rest of the video. Once again, huge thank you to Bloodline for sponsoring this video. If you guys have been watching my content for a while now, it's pretty obvious I don't get sponsors often because I don't get any. So this was my first ever sponsor. I thought it was pretty cool. So I tried to put a lot of effort into the ad. Hopefully you guys liked it, if you guys did watch it. But yeah, remember to check the pinned comment or the description to download the game. But for Ant-Man's stats, he's got a 25% chance to land a critical hit, which is pretty decent. Critical damage rating, again, pretty decent. But his block proficiency is really strong at 72%. You couple that with his armor rating as well as his glancing. This dude's a tank. So yeah, moving over to his signature ability, in terms of importance, I would compare it to Overseer's. So if you think Overseer's Sig is really important, well, you might think this guy's Sig is quite important. It's not needed for his damage or his ramp up, but it's added utility. But the way I like to think of it, both Overseer and future Ant-Man can be played without their awakened ability, but they also get a really solid benefit at Sig 1. Future Ant-Man's benefit at Sig 1 is the damage cap that he gets, so when he would lose more than 10% of his max health from a single source other than a special 3, reduces the damage to 10%, and he gains a self-repair buff. granting 5% of max health over 12 seconds. The green percentages, those scale with your SIG level. So at SIG 1 it would be pretty minuscule, but the damage reduction alone is amazing utility in my opinion. And if you want to use Future Ant-Man a lot, like if you want to be your number one Bishop counter, you really want them at high SIG. Bishop's Incinerates aren't very long, so if you get him up to the SIG level that he would be needed for like 50% duration reduction, I think that might be serviceable. But for stuff like Hazard Shift, you're going to want this guy at max SIG. So he's a lot like Overseer in terms of how important it is, but they do completely different things, is what I'm trying to say. But a little breakdown of his abilities. It's a 10% chance for all incoming attacks that land or strike into block to glance. And when attacks glance, he gains an armor up, a nano armor. And then personal glancing abilities don't work on opponents with an active pierce effect. But we'll go over how to use him a little bit. Again, this is not going to be like an in-depth guide on how to use him, but his power detonation is his main way of controlling his kit, essentially. So he's got this passive icon on the opponent. When it's gray, they can use their special attacks, and the only way it comes down and turns red is when you strike the opponent. It can't be into their block, it has to be actual strikes. And once it turns red, you don't want them throwing specials, because once the red detonation expires, they gain a disintegration debuff, which increases your special 2 damage. I'll show you guys a generic fight after this, just so you guys can see it in action, but that's essentially how he works. When it's gray, you could let the opponent throw specials, you can bait. When it's red, you don't want them baiting, so or you don't want to bait. He also gets this thing called Surging Swarm. When he has 5 or more of his armor ups, or when he has more than 5 armor ups, he gains Surging Swarm, which is a really solid attack rating increase. The encroaching power detonation expires 20% faster, so that's the gray part of the icon, whatever. This is kind of how I like to think about it. So when you have Surging Swarm active, it's the gray time is faster, and then the red time is still the same because you can't really reduce that. So you have them with the power detonation active longer, if that makes sense, or more often than not. And then the opponent is more aggressive while Surging Swarm is active. So when you have this active, you gain attack. It's just a lot of attack. It's like a fury effect from Surging Swarm, and it also makes the opponent aggressive. So it's like they're always infuriated without the ability accuracy reduction, but they technically have it because you can glance. So if you get hit, you have a chance for them, for their abilities to fail. And then when they end a combo and it glances, they get stunned. So like, let's say you're going against somebody in war and you eat a combo and they throw a medium attack into you, or their second medium or second light attack, and it glances, it's stunned. So they're stunned, you get a free opening. This is a huge part of his kit right here. On his 4th light attack, he disables the highest special active. So if you have a special 2 or special 3, you disable the highest special active. So if I'm at my special 2 and I throw a 4th light attack, it disables the special 2 and I could throw my special 1, and that is disabled for 0.5 seconds. So he is basically a choose your own special attack, which is just amazing. And then special 1 is power control, special 2 is damage, and then special 3 is easy mode. So he fits the bill for like common designs. So I think he's really cool. He's got some really good synergies here that we're going to be showcasing as well. The synergy for Ant-Man is actually really good, but so with any of these 3 champs, Future Ant-Man cannot miss when the opponent is suffering from power detonation effects. With Odin and Ultron, incoming shock effects suffer 60% duration. You could pair this with Odin's pre-fights, and that will give you shock resistance, so you can use them for like Incinerate, Shock, Hazard Shift, Bleed, Shock, Hazard Shift, and Ultron actually works very well for those lanes as well. The synergy for both these champs is really strong. And then he has this one, which is kind of like an easy mode. So like when an opponent gains a prowess effect, he gains a nano armor. It's really solid. The synergy for Bishop is really strong. It makes his Incinerate stronger. So like the special 2 Incinerate gets up there in terms of damage. But without any further ado, that's the little breakdown on his kit. If you guys have any more questions on him, I'll have a guide coming out shortly and you guys can check that out. It should be like a 6 to 7 minute video showing how to best use him, explaining his kit. So let's get into the rest of the showcase. So we are starting today's showcase in Realm of Legends against Storm here. So we have class advantage, and we are throwing on some boosts. You guys can see the synergies we have here. They're meant to juice up the damage. This is just supposed to like be a max damage showcase for rank 4 future Ant-Man right here. So it's not supposed to be something super practical, but you know, it's just supposed to be something fun. You guys are seeing here these light attacks, these medium attacks. They're getting pretty juicy when we crit. That's thanks to the Surging Swarm. So now we are about to get in here against Storm, and we are going to land a 4th light attack to deactivate special 2, launch the special 1. We're at 2 disintegrate debuffs right now. We really want 3 of those for when we launch our special 2. So right here, we're just going to bait a heavy attack from her, get our opening here. In this clip, I don't believe she throws a single special attack, which is pretty cool, and it's actually pretty practical to do in other scenarios. I'll show you guys a clip at the end of the video where it's actually a really tough node combo, and you know, he does it pretty well. But 3 disintegrates, and yeah, she's gone. So that was a lot of damage. Again, it's boosted, and it's rank 4, and you know, crazy attack synergies, but 63 seconds to take her down is pretty good time in my opinion. Next up, we have Yondu in early Act 7. He's got Super Masochism, Feats of Power, Rich Get Richer, and I can't remember the other node, but pretty much here, this is another one of those like where everything goes right for future Ant-Man. He's just absolutely bonkers. So we have power gain over time because of the Rich Get Richer, and then we also have Foresight, which increases our special 2 damage quite significantly. He's awesome. His special 2 deals direct damage, and you know, no champ is immune to direct damage, so it makes him insanely flexible on attack. And right there, that special 2 will sort Yondu out. Bada boom, bada bing, he's gone. So pretty cool fight if you ask me, but that's another one of those like perfect scenarios. Although you know, Rich Get Richer can be common, and Odin is a synergy partner for future Ant-Man. Next up, we have Wolverine Weapon X. This is another Act 6, or not Act 6, Act 7 boss fight. He's got Poison Vulnerability, Enhanced Bleed, and Aggressive. So this is a really good showcase of Ant-Man's signature ability here, because I kind of suck at certain points in this fight. Like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. So you guys are going to see at the end, and you know, the health remaining is not going to look too great. But you guys will see this is like a great showcase of his sig ability. I hate fighting Weapon X. This dude always kicks my ass, and future Ant-Man has a lot of things in his kit that prevents Weapon X from kicking butt. I mean, it doesn't really stop him from kicking butt, but it will lessen butt kicking. So with the node aggressive here, Weapon X is going to be throwing special attacks a lot, so there's not much I can do to prevent him from throwing specials while my power detonation is active. It's just something I'm going to have to try to play around, but we are going to be able to get a special 2 in here with the 2 disintegrates active, and right there we drop the special 2. Those 2 hits land with the power detonation active, but the last one doesn't. It's not the biggest deal in the world. We're only missing out on like 30,000 damage. I mean, that's a lot, but it wouldn't have ended the fight. So, you know, we're getting clipped here. Every time a bleed expires on us, we gain one of those self-repair buffs, the regen buffs, and that allows us to heal back some of the chip damage, but we're also reducing the duration of the bleeds that Weapon X is putting on us. As you guys see there, we just eat a full combo. Like, I couldn't do anything there. And, you know, there are really not that many champs who can eat 16 hits from Weapon X, which is what we finished the fight at. We ate 16 hits from this Weapon X here with 95,000 PI. So this is essentially like a war boss in Alliance War. There are not many champs that can eat 16 hits from Weapon X is what I'm trying to say. There's Sentinel. I know he can do it when he's max ramp. Nimrod can if he's in the correct mode. If you are in Blitz Protocol, the orange mode, you are not going to be able to eat any hits, because it's just not good. But if you're in Titan or Eradicate, you will be able to eat any hits that you want. There's also Absorbing Man, Thing could do it, but outside of that, like, there's really not many champs who could survive a beating like that from Weapon X. So that's a pretty cool thing in my opinion. Next up, we're in early Act 6. This is a bunch of random nodes and Caltrops. So I just wanted to showcase his signature ability against Caltrops. For those who want to use him as like a progressing champ, if you get him as a 5-star, he'll be able to do this as a 5-star. So I'm trying not to dash back too much, but as you guys can see, when I was dashing back, we barely lost any health. So yeah, there's really not much that needs to be said here. I don't have to be launching these special attacks because you know, it's early it's like mid Act 6, so like the attack values aren't too high. Right there we get hit, it's not a big deal. He throws a special attack, not a big deal. But these bleed debuffs that are on us really aren't that potent. And I think this would be similar to like a lane fight in Alliance War or like a rank 3 in Battlegrounds. Not too sure, but he handled Caltrops pretty fine. There's just certain nodes that you don't want to use his signature or ability to counter. But next up, we're in Act 7 again. This is Miles Morales on a Hazard Shift node, as well as Fighting Fit, Juggling Act, and Fractured Guard. And there's also Schadenfreude. So every time we're inflicted with a debuff, he's going to gain a massive fury. And every time we block a hit, there's a solid chance that we will be armor broken like we did there. This is a good showcase that armor breaks don't remove his armor ups, they just make them passive. And this is also a decent showcase on how future Ant-Man's synergy with regular Ant-Man allows him to become a pretty solid miss counter. So what we need to do here is just get into Surging Swarm, and then while we have Power Detonation active, we cannot miss the opponent. So it's really solid utility, actually, in my opinion. And a lot of people don't know this. Regular Ant-Man bypasses miss as well with his glancing debuff. So it's really cool how those two paired together, and that's like the synergy they came up with for future Ant-Man. The only thing that sucks for future Ant-Man on these hazard shift nodes is when you cannot hit them during the phase that you're not like reducing any of the debuffs for, which is the poison mode here. You have to kind of like not hit them and keep dashing back. But since Surging Swarm makes the opponent more aggressive, you're gonna get cornered. So it's kind of risky, as you see here. We have 5 armors, 6 armors, 7 armors, and you know, we got cornered, which, you know, is not a fun time. I don't like getting cornered, but right here we are going to land our special 2, and this should pretty much sort him out. It's really close to. And then now we just have to wait for the camel to go away, and then we could just you know, parry and get in and do these last hits. So this fight was actually kind of difficult due to the armor break node, the Fractured Guard, but future Ant-Man handled it pretty good in my opinion. Next up we have a Professor X. This is Energy Adoption Fire, Blood in the Water, and Stun Vulnerability. So when he's stunned, we'll deal a lot more damage. So we're just trying to get some intercepts in on him, and this is again another showcase of how we bypass miss when we have our powered detonation active. So he's got Falter ready. We just need to bait a heavy attack, get in there, and we are bypassing his miss, which I think is pretty good utility. I mean, this is a pretty decent showcase of how he can do it. It would be useful for Ebony Maw in story content, because Ebony Maw has a falter debuff on you every 20 charges he gets or whatever. It's like every 20 seconds. But in Alliance War and Battlegrounds, it's kind of risky. Although Battlegrounds, you don't have the synergy, so you won't bypass miss. But in Alliance War, it's kind of risky because Mystic Dispersion. So you don't really want to rely on future Ant-Man to counter Mystics like that in Alliance War. But Battlegrounds, he can handle some Mystics, you guys will see later, but it's just not, he's not going to have the synergy, obviously, because you can't have synergies in Battlegrounds. Next up, we have Ronin on Biohazard, which I think is another good showcase of his signature ability. So every time we strike Ronan, there's a chance that we get a bleed on ourselves. We don't want to hit his block because we have no way to deal with the poison. So yeah, we're just going to keep going in, and you know, those bleeds are actually quite long, and we are reducing them quite a bit. So those would actually be like really long bleeds, since you could see how long they're sticking on us compared to the Caltrops before. But I don't think Ronan throws a single special attack in this fight as well, other than the first one he threw, the first special attack. Normally that's how I like to play against champs, is bait out one special attack before my power detonation is active, and then lock them down. But you could play them, you know, without baiting specials, and you just block bait the whole time. His power control is good enough for it. So we're just getting close to lining up a nice special 2 here, and we get it here. Really juicy damage there. That was over 200,000 damage, or it might have been pretty close to 200,000 damage. But now we just finished out the fight. That's the only thing that sucks about Future Ant-Man, is when like you can't close out the fight with special 2. He can feel a bit bursty, but we close out with style points with the heavy attack there. So there we go. Ronan down on Biohazard. This is again Act 7 stuff, so health pools, you know, that's your frame of reference. Here's Bishop in Act 7 as well. It's late Act 7. There's Power Technician, Dress Code, Immovable Object, Special Burst Lockdown, and Enhanced Parry Armor Up. So what I'm trying to do in this fight is to not parry, so I don't get the benefits from Power Technician, because I kind of wanted to show you guys how he works for Special Burst Lockdown. It's not going to be great for like Alliance Warpath 4, because you'll still get the debuffs on you, they'll still go unblockable. But as you see there, he armor broke us, and we gained a passive version of our armor instead. And then this is another showcase of the signature ability coming in and reducing the duration of these Incinerate debuffs that Bishop places on us with his special 1, like Incinerate aura. I can't remember the name of it. So yeah, I just thought this was like a really cool showcase. And then once I started getting these Fury passes, I'm like, alright, well that sucks. I wanted to try to do this without getting any of those, but you know, we're just going to finish out the fight here with one special 2, and that's pretty much it for Bishop. So his special 2 scales so nicely with attack modification, it's actually quite wild. Speaking of attack modification, next up we have Hulk on Power Shield in I think it's early Act 7. I think it's 7.1.6. This is Power Shield as well as Recharge, Bubble Shield, and Perforate. So what we're going to do here is ramp up 3 of our Disintegration debuffs, and then we are going to drop a juicy special 2 into Hulk. So we have Surging Swarm active, so that means we're going to have our power detonation come you know, pretty quickly. We drop our special 1 here, and we're just going to keep holding block, trying to, you know, build as much power as we can with the recharge node. And you know, we're just going to keep going around and dancing around this guy. And I think right after this you know, power detonation expires, we gain our 3rd disintegration, and now we just need to get the encroaching power detonation back on. So now that it's about to be there, we land it, and boom, big special 2. That was 132 burst damage on each hit, so you know, 4 hits, 130,000 damage. It's pretty juicy. It's a large special 2. This is Bishop in, I think, 7.3.5. This guy used to be a pain in everyone's butt from what I remember, because you would want to use a Cosmic Attacker here, and there's also this Suffocate node, so every time you strike the defender, you'll gain a Stifle debuff on yourself, which reduces your combat power rate, and that chance to gain the Stifle decreases for each buff on you. But there's also this Power Play node, which Fate Seals you. But this fight, we are just going to completely lock down Bishop, even though our combat power rate is being reduced for almost all of the fight, and he's not going to throw a single special attack. So this is just like a really cool showcase, in my opinion, of Future Ant-Man's power control. It's super unique, and you get benefits for making the opponent play the way you want them to. And this works for any node. Like, The Battlegrounds meta right now is Arms Race and Conflictor. If Conflictor weren't there, you could completely ignore Arms Race on the defender's behalf, because you can make sure they never throw a single special attack. But you could always make sure you're benefiting from Arms Race when you launch your special attack, because you can keep them between 1.5 bars to 2 bars of power pretty easily. And we're just slow playing here to make sure that we keep our encroaching power detonation going. That's why we're only landing 1 hit, as well as to reduce the chances of us getting our stifle debuffs on us. But we go in here with a special 2, and this fight is pretty much over with. And we are getting fate sealed, but you know, when our armor ups are removed, they just become passive. So I feel like this is a really cool showcase of future Ant-Man and how strong his power control is. So that's it for me, guys. That's my video on future Ant-Man, just showcasing his utility a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and once again, thank you to Bloodline for sponsoring this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit like. If you're new here, consider subscribing. About 75% of you guys who watch my videos are not subscribed, so if you guys would click that button and subscribe, that would help me out a little bit. And you know, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next video or stream. Peace out.